We will now start the briefing from the energy sector. The presenters are Mr. Toshikazu Nishino, Executive Vice President and Executive Officer, and Mr. Azushi Oda, Senior Vice President and Executive Officer. Mr. Nishino, please. Good afternoon. My name is Nishino. I'd like to talk about the business policy of the energy sector. From my side, I'd like to talk about our broad directions, and concrete cases and the numbers will be explained by Mr. Oda. What I want to convey to you today are these 4 points. First, the energy market, including investment. The energy market is expanding. Second point, in this environment, Hitachi's energy business growth and profitability enhancement will be realized. Number 3, growth and profitability enhancement. Digital is our strength. We will use our strength fully to realize these objectives. Service, solution, business will be expanded. As for concrete content of what I'm talking about, Mr. Oda will take you through this. Regionally, we intend to become a global leader. Number 4, energy is at the core of social innovation business. This is going to be a contribution to SDGs. Now about the market environment. As you might know, decarbonization requirements are getting stronger. There is a paradigm shift underway. Solar and wind power renewable energy investments are growing very much. On the other hand, on the demand side, this is quite conspicuous. AI is being used widely, so data centers' scale is expanding. 1 trillion investments are being made by individual companies, which means that for the energy business, this is a tailwind. Electrification of industry and widespread use of electric vehicles, the same story here. So with this paradigm shift in the background, growth, profitability improvement will be our aim. Energy, let me repeat, this is a very important area in the SDGs. Poverty, enhancement of standard of living, in addition to providing social values, environmental values, including climate change, we want to drive offering those values. This slide, ABB, Power Grid Division, has been acquired, and this is a numerical representation of our next step. ABB Power Grid business acquisition. We're now working on the procedures, but everything is moving smoothly as planned. In 1 year's time, a new company will be launched. Preparation for growth, responding to risks, such work is underway. As for synergies involved, as I said, Lumada of Hitachi, coordination with Lumada is going to be very important. People have high expectations. We have very positive messages being given to us from various stakeholders. M&A, similar companies coming together to grow market share, to reduce cost. Well, this M&A does not belong to that kind of category. Complementary companies are coming together, and we know which markets are to be grown. So we are targeting at such growth markets. As shown in this slide, social contribution, we want to be making further social contributions, and we want to solidify our position as a global leader. Around the world, great talent and customer base will be coming into the Hitachi Group. Please have expectations for our future growth. The details will be provided by Mr. Oda later on. Oda speaking. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Now, in this energy sector, composition of the business as well as the trends in the energy sector, I will cover those topics. The business in the energy sector, in this sheet, dark gray, building, rail, industry, and cross-cutting services and platform business units, and product business, we have close relationships with them. For example, building and industry energy management, energy conservation, and going forward, our focus is going to be the digital domain. Service platforms, we will be coordinating closely with the service platforms. This energy sector, we have the Energy Business Unit and Nuclear Energy Business Unit. These are the two components. In 2018, as for the total revenue, it was 423.5 billion, of which Energy Business Unit accounted for 59%. The remainder was the Nuclear Energy Business Unit. In this Energy Business Unit, the businesses are three areas, namely power grid, service, and renewable energy solutions. Each one of them are making this contribution as shown on the slide. Next, growth potential of the energy markets. Let me cover this topic. On the left-hand side, you see that renewable energy in the global markets, this is now becoming the mainstream power source. And the chart in the middle, in the area of grid, especially in the domain of grid edge, digitalization market is expanding greatly. In the chart on the right-hand side, what this represents is transmission and distribution, renewable energy, and thermal nuclear power, large power sources. In 2018, the actual investment record in 2018 is shown here. Renewable energy and grid investments are very remarkable, as you can see from this chart. Now, 2018 Midterm Management Plan. Let me give you a review of the plan and the targets for 2021 Midterm Management Plan. First, looking back on the 2018 Midterm Management Plan, in the initial year, 2016, adjusted operating margin was 1.8%, was very low. For the purposes of profitability improvement, we took measures against low-profit businesses. In 2017, our business portfolio was converted. High value-added service and service businesses were launched, and solution business was also enhanced. Those were the focus areas in 2017. Last year, as a result of restructuring, as a result of that, 5.7% was the adjusted operating margin, which was an improvement by about 4 percentage points over the previous year. And in the last year of the midterm plan in 2018, profitability enhancement, expansion of collaborative creation energy solution business, as well as enhancement of high value-added service business. And as a result, adjusted operating margin was much higher than the original target at 7.5%. In terms of profitability, there was a major improvement in terms of our earning power. Next, our major achievements. Let me give you two examples. On the left-hand side, this is a case of collaborative creation energy solution business in Fukushima Prefecture in Minami Soma. We worked together with a local company to make an investment into wind power generation business. Construction of power plant and provision of O&M service was made. On the right-hand side, here's the picture. This is a problem solution type high value added service example. Toso Corporation's Yokkaichi manufacturing complex example. Customers' energy saving challenge was addressed, and we provided a distributed power solutions to solve their problem. Now, moving on to the 2021 Midterm Management Plan targets. In 2021, our target is 1.7 trillion or more of revenue. And as for adjusted operating income ratio, we want it to be over 10%. Revenues From 2018, 423.5, there's a major growth. In the first part of 2020, ABB Power Grid business is planned to be acquired. So this number factors in that acquisition. Overseas revenue ratio will be aimed at 80%. Return on invested capital, ROIC, is 7.5% being the target. This chart shows the vision of the energy sector, where we want to be in terms of our targeted position. 1.7 trillion plus is going to be the revenue, adjusted operating income ratio more than 10%. By achieving those numbers, we want to become the global top.
Next, I would like to discuss and explain the growth strategies. Our initiatives under 2018 Midterm Management Plan. We have been able to achieve a 7.5% operating margin, but in order to hit the target of 10%, we have to continue with reforms to achieve a profitable business. There are two main pillars. We have to reorganize our energy business, and for that, two pillars are going to be crucial. One is concentrating on growing fields, and the other is cost structure reform. In terms of concentration on growing fields, high value-added service solution business and energy solution business we will be focusing on, and for cost structure reform, we will promote business structural reform and improve asset efficiencies. For these items in the slide, I would like to touch upon them one by one in the following slides. Now, before I explain the respective business strategy for each item, I would like to provide the overall picture of the energy solution that Hitachi provides using this slide. This is the strength of Hitachi, and that is OT times IT times product. Leveraging this, digital technology will be brought to bear on Lumada. Cyber physical systems will be utilized, and power generation, transmission, distribution, energy power solution, and service. In these areas, we would like to create solutions tying up with a variety of partners. ABB, PG business, software, and global footprint both will be leveraged so that we can deploy solutions globally. So ABB, Power Grid business, and Lumada, by combining the two, new innovations can be generated and accelerated. That is what we're looking to do. So one pillar of reform to achieve a profitable business, and that is to focus on growing fields, service solution business and energy solution business. For these, I would like to explain what we're going to do. As part of the high value-added service business, by leveraging power of work sites and digital technologies, we will build and n-fold multiply the service platform. More specifically, by analyzing detailed data, we would like to capture signs of failure, and by having spare parts in place beforehand, we will be able to drive efficiency of inspection and utilize predictive diagnosis analysis and perform IT monitoring. By using a failure diagnostic algorithm for solar panels, we can provide services, and through integrated information systems, all sorts of information can be consolidated as a knowledge base and provide solution business for customers based on knowledge. So solution business as such will be expanded for customer base. And in terms of energy solution, which is in the middle of the slide, as part of the energy solution business, as I said earlier, ABB power grid business products footprint will be utilized to globally develop collaborative solution business. Now, renewable energy business, which is at the bottom of the slide, this is part of the energy business. Within Hitachi Group, there were discrete sales resources and frontline people. They are consolidated, aggregated, so that solution structuring power will be enhanced. And we would like to strengthen partnership with Enercon, a German company, and expand solution business combining wind turbine and digital technologies. Power grid business is a growing field. We will grow this, especially data centers, electrification, EV, and business for industrial sector. These are what we would like to expand. And HVDC business. In this, we will continue to expand our market share. And nuclear power plant business for low carbon society. Hitachi boasts a high reliability and technology. Leveraging this, we will make steady progress in decommissioning Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant and promote work corresponding to new regulations toward early start of power plants in Japan. As an example of concentrating on growing fields, I would like to cite two examples. On the left-hand side is an example of power grid by combining Hitachi's ABB technology products and self-exciting converter. In March this year, we delivered our product, installed the product, and conducted tests at Chuba Electric Power's Higashi Shimizu substation. AC is converted into DC, and systems with different frequencies can be connected. So ABB HVDC technology is brought to bear. So our strategic partnership with ABB is used based on that by combining the products and services from both Hitachi and ABB. We will be creating these systems. And in Japan, DC power distribution will increase. And this project is going to be a flagship project for that. On the right-hand side, here's another example. Energy solutions multiplied by Lumada. The two are combined as an example. Today, Hitachi released a press release on this. So on cloud platform, gas turbine equipment, inspection and maintenance information is consolidated. We were able to increase inspection maintenance work efficiency and improved maintenance skills of operators through unified management of this gas turbine facility information on the cloud. Operation maintenance know-how is consolidated on the cloud so that maintenance skills of operators are improved. Hitachi's inspection maintenance technology and O&M expertise are brought together. So this is a solution that is unique to Hitachi, which is applied to Towa Oil Mizuya Power Station. Now, next I would like to discuss cost structure reform, which is the second pillar that we're focusing on. Promotion of business structure reform and improvement of asset efficiency. As part of that, we will focus on highly profitable products and services. A business structure reform, for that, focus on large-scale, extra high-voltage transformers, achieving high profitability by aggregating businesses, promotion of digital transformation, and improvement of asset efficiencies will be pursued. So what I have just explained is put into a roadmap concentration in growing fields and cost structure reform. These two will be pursued steadily based on this roadmap. For ABB Power Grid business, in the first half of 2020, we will prepare for business integration. We're on track. We're on plan at the moment. For cost structural reform in fiscal year 2019, products and services with high profitability will be further focused upon. And we will also focus on reducing less profitable business and consolidation wind power business. For adjusted operating income ratio to be increased from 7.5% to over 10% in 2021. What's going to happen? It's in a waterfall chart. With a structural reform, there will be a reduction of 1%. But by focusing and strengthening high profit projects and business structure reform, we will compensate for that. And by focusing on growing fields, we shall be able to target over 10% operating income ratio on an adjusted basis. Here's a summary and measures for creation of new values. For the creation of new value in the energy field, we will pursue open innovation in the energy field through academic industry collaborative creation. Together with University of Tokyo, we set up a Hitachi University of Tokyo laboratory in 2015. At this laboratory, to achieve Society 5.0, we formulated a vision as well as work to generate innovations. To achieve targets under the Paris Agreement, we are to come up with multiple scenarios and measures to increase the benefit of the scenarios. And based on the scenario, introduction of renewables, next generation power networks, we would like to contribute to these initiatives with the creation of vision and innovation. Social, economic, and environmental values, these three sets of values, by combining energy and Lumada, we would like to offer grid and renewable energy solutions, energy management, and energy saving and decarbonization solutions so that we can contribute further to SDGs. In terms of energy, there are 17 SDG targets related to energy. Energy, creation of cities, climate change countermeasures. These are the strategic areas that we will be concentrating on as we proceed. Here is the summary. In the energy sector, we will reform ourselves to be a profitable business and become a top player in the global arena, provide stable energy, and contribute to creating a sustainable society. To achieve this, we will implement the activities I talked about. And for the targets under Midterm Management Plan 2021, we will be making steady progress. That concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Now we would like to take your questions. Mr. Nishino, Mr. Oda, and Mr. Sekigawa, Satoshi Sekigawa, CFO of the energy sector, will respond to your question. The gentleman in the front row, please. Thank you very much for the presentation. My name is Moriyama from JP Morgan Securities. Page 31 and onwards on the slide presentation. Page 31, midterm revenue trends are provided. If possible, Lumada composition in these revenues. What are the prospects of revenue contribution from Lumada? If you could talk about that, please. In addition, in 2019, revenues are likely to drop a little bit, but let me confirm. Is this because of reduction and consolidation of the wind power business? Is that the reason? Thank you for the question. I'd like to respond to the question while being seated. First, Lumada's contribution, its ratio, was the first question. As for actual number, we don't disclose that number, but let me just give you a sense of the scale. In the past, Lumada business for us, 3-digit was the size, lower part of the 3-digit number, but in 2021 midterm plan, ABB power grid business, there's going to be synergies to be produced. So we are aiming at the lower half of a 4-digit number. That is what we're aiming at. Second question, 2019 revenues are expected to come down, and the reason behind this, there is a number of factors behind this. As you pointed out, wind power. This business, there is still backlog. So it's not that there's going to be a huge drop in revenues in the wind power business. Of course, we are not taking new orders, and therefore reduction will be expected. That's one. Now, transforming system will be transformed or transferred to the industry sector. And power generation solution business, large projects will decline in number. Depending on the year, there are some years where we can take big orders, and it so happens that 2019 we're expecting some kind of a drop. And another one is nuclear power. New regulation, responding to the new regulations, restart of nuclear power plants are now pushed back. And as a result of that, revenues are expected to shift, and that is likely to come later. And that is why there's going to be a slight drop in 2019. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Question. What you indicated today is the thinking behind 2021 midterm management plan. But if we cast our eyes beyond that, ABB power grid market, the power transmission market that ABB PG business targets, what is your forecast of the growth in that market over the medium to long term in the next 10 years or so? So that's my first question. So shall I answer one by one? Thank you for the question. My name is Nishino. In terms of infrastructure, unlike industry sector, the cycle of change is longer. And I believe the players in the market have similar views as ours. So we expect growth to be around the same as that of GDP, 3 to 6%, depending on the market. And as I said earlier, there are areas where software is developed, and in the industry sector, a mass production business is struggling, but data center business, on the other hand, is growing by leaps and bounds. So we believe that we can garner a large market share in data centers business. Food and beverage is also a growing sector. So sectors that are growing consume a lot of power. Good or bad aside, it's going to be a huge opportunity for us. So growth rate based on the conventional idea of infrastructure, it's not going to be all that high, but at a certain rate, it will continue to grow. On the other hand, as I said, sectors and businesses that are consuming a lot of power are growing quite rapidly. So we have to respond to their needs. And of course, renewables will increase in volume. But in terms of the growth rate, 3.5% will be exceeded. It could be quite large. So as was questioned earlier, as was asked earlier, data center, food and beverage are growing. I'm not just talking about short term. So these are the areas or sectors where we would like to establish a new footprint to drive new businesses. That's our thinking. I have a second question, a follow-up question. So data center business, food and beverage. And I'm sorry for asking a basic question, but 60,000, 70,000 middle voltage where ABB power grid is strong at. So in the next 3 years, over the near term, you are to gain greater business? Answer. Generally, yes, but data center location differs from one place to another. In Japan, they're dispersed, but overseas, they're concentrated in a few solutions. In New Jersey, for example, there's a huge number of data centers just in the state of New Jersey. So each data center is that capacity you mentioned, but you need a lot of transmission networks, and the demand is huge. According to last year's statistics, 12 to 15% of power consumed in the metropolitan area of Tokyo is consumed by data centers. Huge share. So whether or not one can locate more data centers in Tokyo is going to be a question. So to answer your question, what you mentioned, transformation and transmission network with high capacity, of course, that's one of the targets. But if we had to have a large data center project, we need something with larger capacity. This is something that we're talking with customers. Security of power supply and cybersecurity, they have to be taken care of in tandem. And only Hitachi can deliver that according to customers. So that's another opportunity that we see.
Any other questions? Yes, the person in the middle row. Yes. My name is Yamaguchi. About nuclear power, I have two questions. First one, revenue increases, projections. It's only a slight increase, and 2021, again, a slight increases. Fukushima Daiichi support, the restart support, they are the contributors, I understand. But looking at this, nuclear power, yes, it is part of growth, but over the mid to long term, nuclear power, do you think that this is a declining industry? Or for your company, over the long term, is it the case that there is potential for growth, including domestic market? So you're withstanding the current environment, hoping for growth in the future? Can I have your thoughts about this? My name is Oda. Let me respond. As you know, as for nuclear power generation, this is a very important business in supporting social infrastructure, 3+S. And for global environment preservation, this is a very effective energy source. For the moment, domestically, restart of nuclear power plants are not progressing. So in terms of the business environment, it's not easy. But this type of business, you don't just look at the profitability of the business. It's a very important factor to make a contribution to the society. But because this is a private sector business, we cannot say that we don't regard profitability as important. As we discussed in Lumada, by using IT, various services can be provided in the nuclear power area to improve profitability. So together with social contribution, we want to secure viability of the business. That is our position. Thank you. To the second question. Last year, at the end of last year, UK Horizon business was to be frozen. You made that an announcement. And Mr. Higashibara said that the direction of Horizon itself, sales to other companies, is also one of the options being considered. What is the progress? What is the position of Horizon right now? Asset itself, land and other assets. Let me answer that question. My name is Nishimoto. After freezing the project, we are stopping the operations, so reducing the number of people. And what we don't use right away would be disposed of. So there is no change in the policy to freeze this and this asset. Reducing the asset is also underway. Headcount is being reduced. And the possibility of a sale you mentioned. Of course, we always talk about this, but it's not that there is any direction that we have identified. There's going to be a government change in the UK, or the prime minister will be changed. A new prime minister is coming. Base, the authority, we're talking with them still. So yes, you're right in pointing that out, that including the option of selling the assets, we're in discussions, but it's not that we have any news to convey to you today. If there is anything I were to say at the beginning of this year, as we said, freezing as well as reducing the size of the assets. And this is progressing as planned. Does this mean that asset sale is also being discussed right now? Does this mean that you're talking to somebody with respect to possibility of selling the assets? No, that's not the case. It's not that there's anything that we can convey to you today. Nothing concrete is in progress.
Other questions? Question. Just one point to ask. Page 34 on this slide, energy business unit revenue breakdown is something that I would like to ask about. Other than ABB, FY20, FY21, there's going to be a dip and then growth once again. So what are going to be the assumptions for these businesses? As far as you can say and commit to, if you could share that with us. Answer. Thank you for the question. In the graph, let me explain. The service business, FY19, you may think that there's a gradual decline according to the bar graph. This is because of the orders, whether big projects are secured or not. But in principle, service business is something that we have to grow. So rather than keeping this flat, we would like to grow this. One way to grow this is the power grid business, which is at the tip of the bar graph. A large chunk of this is within the service business category. So in that regard, overseas service business included, we would like to achieve growth. And grid solution is to remain flat, and renewables solutions, in terms of the number, it's to be flat, but basically organic business, relatively speaking, is centered around the domestic business. For the domestic business, the market is not expected to grow all that much. So that is considered when we came up with these numbers. ABB power grid business, by leveraging synergies with it, we would like to grow the numbers quite substantially in each of the areas. And this graph may somewhat be misleading, but I've provided explanation to clarify this. Question. For 2020, a little less than 200 billion. So there's going to be a decline of revenue if you add the four up. But that is not necessarily the correct picture. Answer. Well, we would like to drive the numbers. Thank you.
It is about time. Maybe we can take one last question. Yes, the person in the front. My name is Shimada from Mitsui Sumitomo DS. One question. On page 20, HVDC denominator, market size. What is the market size right now, and how much expansion are you expecting? If possible, if you could give me an expected share number as well. That is the question I have. Let me answer that question. HVDC market size as a whole, I don't have that number right now, so I can't say offhand. ABB, HVDC, they have this global business, and as they say on their website, existing HVDC market, they have about 70% market share, they say. Self-exciting AC business, or sorry, DC business. They're very strong. And in Europe, they have direct current DC power transmission connecting between the continents. So they are very strong. On page 21, you have the case of Chubu Electric Power Higashi Shimizu substation. So this is self-exciting converter. So ABB's equipment will be used rather than using semiconductors? Yes, that's right. Then with this, we would like to bring this energy session to a close. Thank you.